Okay, here we are doing our tabletop conversation. This is May 29th, Memorial Day 2023. And we're out at the boardwalk at the ocean.
Yes.
And this is Robert and Suzanne having a tabletop conversation for ourselves and who knows what.
Yeah. It's been a few weeks since we done one.
Mm-hmm.
We've been very busy on the Garden of the Red Thread and the new garden plan for this whole year.
Yeah, it has been very physically busy, but also very mentally and emotionally busy. It's
gosh.
like you say, 4 dirt deep is a reference to the deep layers that you have to go if you're really in a conscious way of
And if you
working
want to
with
live
things.
in the moment of asking in every moment, it's like you have to make every moment alive. It's part of really being alive on the planet is being aware in every moment in time of yourself and the guidance around you.
And the environment,
Yeah.
That's,
It takes time. We record a lot of our daily life. It seems so silly. I mean, we record doing the garden, we record, the kitchen and all kinds of things because it's the part of life that most people don't have. Their daily life is, work or
away from the home.
Away from home, but also away from the ability to stay in contact with their divine self in every moment in time. It's harder. It's not impossible, but it is much harder. And I think, but for us, staying in contact with all the daily things is also extremely, profoundly difficult at times because there's such a wow in the world that these things are real. These things, these worries, or these things that go wrong in your daily life or your house or your family, and then you get sucked into that narrative.
It is so true. Yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
So in order to maintain a focus and really drop into yourself is key to extending it then out into what you're doing in your daily life, whatever is occurring.
It's in the daily life that we live. It's the daily life right now that the world is fighting for.
Yeah.
The people in the Ukraine are being attacked in their daily life, in their daily narrative.
That's why it's a war on civilians, not just soldiers.
Because if you can take that away, then there is very little living that's allowed.
Yeah.
And just like this morning, we saw a video of children in the Kiev that were walking to school, and they were all little backpacks on, and then the children screaming, trying to get to. There was a lot of bombing. You could hear it in the background, and screaming, trying to get to a shelter. All of them, and they were just like kids here, their little backpacks and their little outfits, and just and that's what they're trying to do. And I think that the people of Russia were called Reds, and it was significant of them. And I think that's why we are putting up the Garden of the Red Thread, why we follow the red thread, and why we are working with a boundary of survival in the Garden of the Red Thread. And in that, it's like the whole garden is a postage stamp of the whole world, the whole planet, other galaxies, the universe.
Yeah.
And you can't work with one without working with all the others. And once you realize that, that's a great power. Because all at once you take the small things of your life and you make them immense. And they do immense things out in the world because you really are making that small thing everything.
Yeah.
It's like the story of many of the fairy tales. The seed that became the vine that you climbed.
Yeah.
The cathedral climb into a consciousness bigger than you, and it's that small seed and its ability to create a world. It's like the seed of a tree is so small. and it creates this huge being.
Mm-hmm.
And that being is not just above, it's the same below.
Yeah, it's the same
So
below.
it's a great power in taking the very small and making it immense, because it already is.
Yeah.
I mean, the small seed has the whole blueprint of the immense tree above and below. Isn't that just absolutely a miracle?
Yeah.
So we work with that miracle
Mm-hmm.
in our everyday life. We work with the consciousness of it and the value of it. So we're aware when things aren't centered, or they're not just right in that small
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
blueprint that equals in the larger. And so right now, the whole thing, the Red Thread Gardening, is about keeping connected to that above and below, the immense and the small. And the real of living in every moment is that you are really living.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you here for? So Russia is at now a consciousness that wants to break down that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They take a small country and they start beating it, and they're trying to, and they don't beat its military, they beat its individual everyday life. And all the everyday life that usually soldiers go to protect. They even leave their country to help another country. Like in America, we don't do it here. Not like they have done it in Europe. But that's what they're fighting for. Russia is fighting to own the every moment in time.
Yeah.
The small as well as the large, the seed as well as the tree.
Yeah. They're taking that red and
making it
sullying
blood.
it. Yeah, making it blood instead of life pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, when a tree puts down its seeds, they're all over the place. You know, and animals take them to other places, and they have all this potency and potential. And so the seed is a very important moment in time. And they are trying to annihilate it.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that when they're done, it's not just there. It's everywhere. And we've all watched it. So in the Garden of the Red Thread this year, in the garden plan, it is all about that and nothing else. The whole garden plan is about that and nothing else.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big tabletop conversation, because it's such a huge topic of a way of how do you dissolve a contentious mean-spirited bullying energy that wants to dominate instead of cooperate and coordinate and collaborate. That's just not in that seed. Not in that seed.
And what they're trying to do in the world is destroy the central nervous system. And that central nervous system is keyed in to
Gesundheit.
and
Out
to
in
the
the
point
sun.
of entry of Gaia.
Yeah.
And Ukraine is in the place near the point of entry where Gaia comes and goes. And that's what they're after.
Yeah.
Her everyday life. And so that's why the point of reference that Ukraine is that place and position that is the point of reference for Gaia, our whole world. That her entry, her dream time, she leaves out of that and comes back to it. And then she dreams the dream of us dreaming. So it's really essential right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Wow.
Wow. So that turned into be quite a topic.
Yeah, I
Or
didn't
a
even
morning.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been living inside of it, so I
Yeah.
hadn't really thought about it like, oh, let's have one about this. But we are living inside the thread, and we are building the garden of the red thread now. We're building her borders and
Yeah.
going, hello,
Hi.
going all around her borders to make them safe. So we have finished just about with the more mercurial side. The others are pretty locked down and fine. And soon we'll have the borders secured.
Yeah.
We're real close. And then we'll begin with the growth inside the garden.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
That's this whole remainder of this spring, which is another 2-3 weeks. And then,
we have at least 1,000 seedlings in the
they're,
little greenhouse area.
They're getting ready.
And they're doing very well.
You said that
That's
we had
inside the garden.
We had 100% germination of what was it?
Morning glories.
Morning glories, yeah.
Well, we used to have we didn't really have a wall, and we had part of our garden was inside the little fence and then outside the little fence because it was still our property. But now we have nothing outside the fence.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a little fence. It's a full picket fence. And it's red, and it's gorgeous. It's new. It's up above the ground. And it goes, the whole garden now, except for the gateway, is sealed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've gotten a lot
We're still
done.
waiting for answers on that.
On the gate, yeah.
Yeah, the gateway. And it's beautiful. There's a lot more in it. There's the Ogham Tree Sanctuary, which
I love that.
We didn't have established until this year.
Yeah, it came with the expansion of the area.
Oh, it's just, it takes our breath away. And we're getting ready. We have a work area that we can work on the artwork that's going to go on the fence on the inside of the garden.
And we're excited about that. I'm glad you've been able to start it because it's been a while, a long while.
Like
since
3 years.
Since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the pandemic started, we finished our last show. And then in 2019, our last show in December. And then
everything shut down.
And then a couple of months later, the pandemic stepped all in. And then our whole language of our life changed and became more conversational. Yeah.
Which is why we enjoy the Tabletop Conversations, too.
Yeah.
To be able to kind of...
At home kind of space with it.
It helps us to kind of get a feel for things. And then those of the ones that we do, that we share, then there's that also. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, how much more minutes do we have?
Well, we've done 13 and a half minutes. We can go a little bit longer if you want.
Yeah. Let's go to 20.
Okay.
We usually do 20, 25.
Alrighty. Let's see well, it's a lovely day. We can talk about finally being out on the boardwalk. And there's really something to be said about being able to come down to the ocean, to the ocean's edge. That, would you say, the ions are helping. They help lift the spirit. They help kind of wash your auric field and kind of reestablish balance and connection with nature. And it's just lovely. And we met someone, and it's kind of fun. We came in touch with someone that has subscribed, a writer who has subscribed to our Long Spoon and been supportive. And we met her in person with her husband. It's their anniversary today. And let's see. But the deepest part of our conversation still goes back to the garden. Even though we're here, that thread, the red thread, is connecting what we're experiencing here and how we connect it in with the kind of the centermost part of ourselves and how that interrelates and weaves itself in with the garden.
It's like almost we're living in a red house, we're living in a red garden, so we're living in a red room.
And we're doing this recording on a
It's
phone
very
that has
womb-like.
a red case on it, so there's a lot of red going on.
Yeah.
It is womb-like. It's the pulse. It's that pulse that's going.
Yeah, it's really true.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, how I said a lot of times I look and I see a color, or when we mention a color, and then I just kind of scan around to see, and look at the red blossoms over there on the rhododendron. Just as we were talking, it just popped into view. And
red is a very very potent color.
Made it safely past the crack.
Oh,
good.
A lady on the walk a while ago fell
Yeah.
in this crack that continues to grow
Yeah.
on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Fortunately, she's okay.
yeah,
Mm.
we found that we've never lived inside of the intensity of red that we're working with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so womb-like, and we're inside a world that is very much entering through the womb, is traveling through the womb to its destination of birth. And we're assisted by midwifery beings that help us work with this timing, and guardian us and others.
The connection of the visible and invisible is really woven in this kind of pulse.
Like the thin place. You know how we first came here?
Oh, yeah.
The library had a conversational night they called the thin place. I think we live inside of it.
I think so too. Yeah. And the between and the fold and the crease and the corrugations that are
and we feel
constantly
all
occurring.
the energy, the irritation, and the fear, and the chaos when each one of those days begin. Any part. Every time the fold, right before it begins, there's a chaos. There's a feeling of so much of the unknown, and having to go ahead and put your thumb down and crease it is like the decision. And then you unfold it, and there's always more conversation. And it can unfold and crease over and over again till you have a corrugated factor in time and in your life.
Yeah.
And that corrugated factor can carry more content and connect it across the board.
Wow, that's really...
Yeah.
That's a good descriptive visual. See, you're so poetic in your prose. I love that.
I just listen.
You do a good job.
I never wrote poetry until I started
so
listening.
Good at it.
And
you're
now
so
that I
good
listen,
at it.
I write poetry, I write prose, I write whatever I need to write.
Yeah.
And that's called following the red thread. I think we have to go back.
I think
and get
so.
a drink of water.
Yep, getting time.
Well, it's already, that's pretty good timing.
Yep, we did good. We did good.
We
Thank
love
you
sharing
for
this part. We'll share more about the Garden of the Red Thread.
Yeah.
Later.
And thank you for joining us. And until the next time.
Yeah, this is Suzanne.
And this is Robert.
Clarity.
Bye for now.